6 o'clock, I'll bring the Tuolumne County Planning Commission meeting of May, what's today, 6th? Don't have my glasses, to order. Please rise, join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we start, I would like to congratulate John Latore for having been reappointed to this planning commission. What's that, the fourth term or
I think it's been 12 years. Do you remember, Bev?
three? That's
I've lost count.
three.
It's been a while.
Well,
Thank
okay,
you.
this will be your fourth term, so good. Congratulations,
Thank
John.
you.
You serve the county well. You have for years. So.
I'm doing my best. Thank you.
You bet. Okay, with that, we'll start out with the planning commission business. Reports from any of the commissioners have a report? Yes.
This is my first time to meet Cole, and I wanted to ask how to pronounce your last name.
It's pronounced Prisabella.
Prisabella.
Yes.
Thank you.
Like Isabella.
And also my first meeting that I got to serve with Bob and Peter. I wanted to make sure that you all, you may not have gotten the official word, that during this year I've agreed to build a house for a client in Petaluma. So I'll be in Petaluma for 3 weeks out of every month, back here for 1 week. I'm going to schedule that week around the first Wednesday meeting. So it is my plan to make every planning commission meeting on the first Wednesday, and I'll have to miss the third Wednesdays. So I'm glad to hear there's no third Wednesday meeting this month.
Yeah.
Just
Well, you've
for you.
Thank you.
been very conscientious over the last 12 years, John, so there's no surprise.
And I didn't worry too much about it since this is a 4-year term. This is just a little blip in the first year.
Oh, yeah, well, got to go where the work is, so.
Thank you.
No report from the commissioners, any reports from the staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to note that we have no items for your meeting that's regularly scheduled for May 20th, so we will be canceling that meeting. We do not know yet if we will have any items for your June 3rd meeting.
Okay, thank you. Second item, any report from the Board of Supervisors Planning Committee representative?
We have not had a meeting at this point.
Thank you. Any report from the Agricultural Advisory Committee representative?
Mr. Commissioner, we did have a meeting on the 16th of April. We only had one item, which was a preserve alteration and a zone change, which we approved.
Okay, thank you. Now, regarding the minutes of the April 15th meeting, any corrections or additions?
Mr. Commissioner, on page 5, about the middle of the page, where it says, or does TUD came up with plan for water sources, I think that should become. And I think on page 7, about a third of the way down on the page, middle paragraph, the 1996, and I think it's just a typographical that you have a small t. Is all I found.
Okay, anybody else? May I have a motion to adopt as corrected?
Also move.
Second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
I abstain.
Okay.
I think we should note that we now have someone we can give the Bob Steele Award to for being able to find typos. We've been missing that role for maybe 6-9 months now.
I'm not sure that's something we really need, but, okay.
I was accused on the Tuolumne Park and Rec District of doing the same thing.
That's good.
Don't
good
feel
work.
bad.
Anyway, the motion is adopted unanimously with one abstention. Okay, we're getting in the public comment period. Anybody wish to address the commission on any item that's not on the agenda? I don't see anybody, so we will close that public comment period, and everything from here on is a public hearing. Our first item has to do with the Currituck Horseshoe, I believe is the right pronunciation.
Husu.
Husa? Husa.
Husu, yeah.
Okay, having to do with some alterations on an agricultural preserve area. Staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Kerlick Revocable Marital Trust and Kerlick Irrevocable Family Trust own two parcels, APN 62-19003 and 62-19051, that have a combined acreage of 91 acres. Those parcels are zoned AE 37AP and are designated agricultural by the general plan. They're also under a Williamson Act contract. Next door is a 10-acre parcel that's owned by Dennis and Carol Hasu, a revocable living trust. As I mentioned, that parcel is 10 acres in size. It is currently zoned large lot residential, A10 under the zoning and large lot residential general plan land use designation. The assessor's parcel number is 62-19052. These parcels are located at 17870 and 17900 Apple Colony Road in the Tuolumne area. All three of these parcels are currently in Agricultural Preserve 59, and the Kerlicks would like to acquire 5 acres of Hasu's 10-acre parcel. In order to do that, which may seem pretty simple, that requires a disestablishment of Agricultural Preserve 59, which currently consists of all 3 parcels, to remove the Hasu parcel from it. So that would create an ag preserve less than 10 acre or 100 acres, which we don't typically allow. So instead, what's proposed is to disestablish Agricultural Preserve 59, then to add the Kerlick's existing property plus the 5 acres they want to acquire to Agricultural Preserve 183. So that preserve then would be increased from 178.9 acres to 274.9 acres. The project also includes a general plan amendment for the Hasu property from large lot residential, requires 10 acres, to rural residential, which allows 5-acre parcels. Also, there'd be a rezoning of that property to 5 acres of RE5 and 5 acres of AE37AP to be the same as the Kerlick property. Then finally, because the Kerlick property is under a Williamson Act contract, the proposal is to rescind their existing contract for their 91 acres and then to enter into a new contract for their 96 acres. So that would be with the additional 5 acres they're going to acquire. And this would also include approving their agricultural management plan, which is for dry land grazing. So this project has been reviewed by the Agriculture Advisory Committee because it entails the changes to the Agriculture Preserve and the Williamson Act. The committee reviewed that on March 19th and at that time did recommend approval of the project. We did receive one letter in support of this project and received no correspondence in opposition.
Okay, any questions of staff before we continue? Seeing none, all right. With that, the public hearing is underway, and those in favor of the project will speak first. Those opposed will speak next. And you don't have to state your name under state
That's
law, but if you want to be in the county archives forever, you can state your name. But it's your choice.
I'm not telling you who I am.
You're notorious already,
I think
Osborne.
I'm already in
Yeah.
the county archive. Afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Bob Osborne, and I represent the Husus? Husu. Kerlick and Kellogg families in their endeavor to complete almost everything you can do in the county on this little 5-acre deal. Nonetheless, we respectfully request a ag preserve alteration, general plan amendment, zone change, rescission of the Williamson Act in favor of a new Williamson Act contract, and disestablishment of Ag Preserve 59 in favor of adding the property into Ag Preserve 183, all for the purposes of a 5-acre lot line adjustment to allow the Kerlick family and Kellogg family to continue their agricultural pursuits. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to ask.
Any questions for Mr. Osborne?
and the applicant are here as well if you have
Thank
questions
you.
of them.
Okay. Anybody else which choose to address the commission in favor of this project? All right. Anybody wish to address the commission in opposition to this project? Anybody wish to just speak neutrally? Seeing nobody, we will close the public hearing on that subject, bring it back to the commission for action or discussion. Yes,
right.
Commissioner Latorre.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since it's in my district, I'd be pleased to make a motion when you're ready.
Okay, we'll see if there's any more discussion, Mr. I don't see any. Okay, go ahead, John.
I move that we disestablish Ag Preserve 59 and alter the boundaries of Ag Preserve 183 based on findings A through D, that we approve General Plan Amendment GPA 1501 based on findings A through D, that we approve zone change RZ 15002 based on findings A through E and contingent upon adoption of the master resolution of the general plan, that we rescind the Williamson Act Land Conservation Contract, 05WA 178, and execute a new Williamson Act contract, WA 15001, based on findings A through K, my goodness. And that we approve the agricultural management plan based on findings A through E.
There's a second to that
I'll
motion?
second that motion. That's the longest motion I've heard.
Me too.
Yeah, for well, I don't say a lousy 5 acres, but I'm sure it's a fine 5 acres. But for 5 acres, that's quite a list of findings. Anyway, any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so ordered unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Okay, our second agenda item is the McCurley project to amend the general plan and do some zone changing. Staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cliff McCurley owns a 4.8 acre parcel that's located at 18158 Old Wards Ferry Road. He has applied for tentative parcel map T14-021 to divide his property into two parcels. One parcel would be 2.3 acres in size and the other would be 2.5 acres. In order for him to proceed with his tentative map, he is asking your support this evening for a general plan amendment to change the land use designation of his 4.8 acre parcel from rural residential, which has a 5 acre minimum parcel size, to estate residential, which has a 2 acre minimum parcel size. Also, we'd like your support to change the zoning from RE5 to RE2, which again would provide for the 2 acre parcel. Mr. McCurley has proposed as part of his project to restrict the number of homes on the new parcels so that by his own proposal, there would only be one home allowed on each of these parcels. As such, the existing almost 5 acre, 4.8 acre site currently is allowed to have 2 homes, and after he divides the property, he would still be allowed to have only 2 homes, so that the land use potential does not change based upon his proposed project. We did receive 2 letters in favor of this project and received no letters in opposition.
Okay, any questions of staff? Seeing none, we'll go to the public hearing. Anybody wish to address the commission in favor of this project? Welcome to come forward. I don't see anybody. Anybody wish to speak in opposition to this project can come forward. Anybody wishing to speak neutrally, welcome to come forward. Don't see anybody. Close the public hearing. Bring the matter back to the board for action. Discussion or action. Anybody? The staff recommendation is on page 12. Somebody like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approval of General Plan Amendment GPA 14-005 based upon the findings of A through D, and recommend motion to amend the Tuolumne County General Plan to allow use of the project site, which is consistent with the policies and programs of the general plan and the land use patterns of the area surrounding the project site. Approval of zone change, RZ 14-011, based upon the findings. It says A, B, and AB. Should
Oh.
that be A through D?
Yes, it should.
All right,
Good catch
findings
on
of
the
A,
typos.
A through D.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, passes unanimously with no negative votes or abstentions. Okay, item 3, the
Thanks for coming, Cliff.
Nelson project has to do with Sunshine Meadows subdivision. Is actually a downzoning of it. Staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On July 17th of 2007, the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors approved entitlements for the Sunshine Meadows subdivision. The subdivision would allow 34 lots on property located at 20570 and 20580 North Sunshine Road in Mona Vista. After the project was approved, the property was foreclosed upon, and Leslie A. Nelson Revocable Trust acquired the property on June 21st of 2013. The current owner no longer wants to pursue this project. So she is submitted an application to the county to rescind the entitlements that would have allowed the Sunshine Meadows project to be developed. As such, before you this evening is a proposal to rezone the 10.7 acre project site from R1MX and open space to RE2MX, which is what it used to be. The the open space zoning was for mitigation of the subdivision project. If the subdivision project entitlements are rescinded, there's no longer a need to have any of the mitigation measures, and so there's no longer a need for open space zoning on the property. The project also, before this evening, also includes a rescission of the development agreement, which provided for modification to development standards for the particular project. And finally, a rescission of tentative subdivision map 05TSM-1013, which was the map that would have allowed the land division. And so rescission of these entitlements will eliminate the ability to develop the project, and again, the zone change will reinstate the zoning that previously existed on this subject property. You notice in your package that we received letters of opposition, which seems odd with a rescission project. We believe that the neighbors did not understand the project, and again, I think it's just a misunderstanding.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions of staff? Yes, Mr. Rye.
So Bev, would it be accurate to say they're basically going back to all the conditions that were present before the subdivision, or is there anything that's different than it was before the subdivision was
No,
approved?
it's essentially going back to what it was.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Latorre.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to have to step down under Government Code 87100 on this project.
Okay, thank you. Have to wait till he leaves the room. Okay. Any other questions of staff? Don't see any. Open the public hearing. Anybody that's in favor of this project can address the commission?
It's me again. On behalf of Leslie Nelson, we are in favor of rescinding all of the development entitlements of Sunshine Meadows subdivision, in favor of rezoning the property back to its RE2 without open space. Any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Osborne? None. Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak in favor of the project? Anybody wish to speak in opposition to the project? Anybody wish to speak neutrally? If not, close the public hearing, bring the matter back to the board for discussion and/or making a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would be willing to move And I'll get this right, I guess. Zone change RZ 15-001, based on findings A through D. Cancellation of development agreement 05DA-05, based on findings A through D. Rescission of vesting tentative subdivision map 05TSM-101, paren 3, for the Sunshine Meadows subdivision, based on findings A through E.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? So ordered. The vote was unanimous in favor of the recommendation. Okay, our fourth item is McDonald project over on Highway 120. We have the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Marty McDonald operates.
Yes, McAdall. I always say McDonald.
McDonald, yes, McDonald.
Yeah, I bet I'm not the only one who gets that wrong, but anyway, go ahead.
Operates the Sierra Mac River Trips business out of his property, which consists of 19 acres located at 27890 State Highway 120, approximately 11 miles east of Groveland. He is asking for your approval this evening, and your commission is the decision-making body on this project, for a site development permit that would allow him to make some modifications to the layout of his business and to provide some expansion of the business on his property, which is currently zoned commercial recreational. The first phase of the project would be to continue the operation of the rafting business and to have some outdoor storage and of miscellaneous vehicles and equipment. Within a year or so, and the phasing is not established specifically, we have flexibility on that, but he anticipated that within a year, he would construct a detached sales office kiosk and parking for client vehicles and a detached 36-square-foot sign advertising the business. His clients typically now park at the Casa Loma store, and then he buses them to the site. So what he wants to do is develop parking for his clients and his customers at where his office is. Later, there'd be a third phase, which would be construction of a restroom facility. Phase 4 would be construction of 2 cabins for employees and operation of a campground that would have 10 one-bedroom cabins or 10 tent camping sites, or a combination thereof. He would also extend a loop road to provide access to the new camping facility. Finally, Phase 5, which would be in about 5 years or so, he's proposing to construct a second dwelling for his use and then also convert the existing residence to extra employee housing, and an office that is within the building now would be retained. One thing of interest on this property, as you notice from the site plans, is that access is actually provided over property that's under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Forest Service. And the Hetch Hetchy power lines also have an easement through the property. And his project has been designed to avoid any encroachment into the Hetch Hetchy transmission lines. And the access for his project and any future parking on the parcel that is under the Forest Service jurisdiction will require a special use permit from the Forest Service. And those are conditions of approval that we have proposed that, he can move forward with this project, but it is subject to getting those approvals from the U.S. Forest Service. We did receive some letters from neighboring property owners concerned about fire hazard from his proposed project, some increases in traffic, and maybe even some impacts to Rainbow Pool, which is below this project site. We believe the conditions of approval have addressed all of those concerns. Deputy CRA Director Duke York is here with me this evening and be happy to answer any questions you might have about access or parking on the site.
Okay. Any questions of staff?
Is
yeah,
there a
go ahead.
problem for, excuse me, I'm sorry, Mr. Commissioner, or for Duke? Did I read in there somewhere where there was a problem on, as far as site for ingress and egress because of curves?
Well, the encroachment, of course, is through Caltrans. I think there's conditions of approval that show proof of a Caltrans encroachment permit, and generally speaking, they're going to make sure that that encroachment meets their own site distance criteria. So the way it's conditioned is show proof of a Caltrans encroachment. There is a paved encroachment there now, so it already exists.
Okay. Any other questions of staff? Commissioner Rye?
I don't know if this is the appropriate time or later, but in looking at the photo for it and trying to correlate that with what I read, I got a little confused a couple times. I noted that phase three rather, is to construct a detached restroom facility. I saw the concern from CSERC on the distance between the restroom facility and where the camping might be. And then I went to the drawing, and it appears there are 2 restrooms shown. And I didn't know, is it 1, is it 2? I don't know, it matters in the grand scheme of things, but it said a facility, and then I noticed there were 2.
Well, my understanding, and the applicant is here and he can clarify, is that one idea, the one that you see closest to the highway was the one that was going to be built first, and then when he builds the cabins, he
Which would make sense.
build one there, too.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then my only other question was, I realize the ordinance says 10% for landscaping. When it's a 19-acre parcel, that's 1.9 acres. Is that, or is it just the area that's being developed, and it's 10% of that?
We use the area being developed, plus there's
Okay.
credit given for native vegetation.
That was my
Which
second
he has
question.
more than enough to meet the requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions of staff? If not, we go to public hearing. Anybody wish to address the commission in favor of this project?
Good evening. My name is Marty McDonnell. I've been whitewater rafting clients down Tuolumne County rivers since 1965, so I've been around a while. I'm also a founding director of the Tuolumne County Visitors Bureau, so I'm pro-business in this community. I'm relocating my business. I was out in Columbia back in the 70s, and I've been in Sonora for many years, and so now I'm right next to the Tuolumne River, which is way better for my operation. I have a good relationship with Hatchachi. They actually produce water that enables us to go rafting on the Tuolumne. And the Forest Service is, currently I'm operating under a Forest Service permit to run river trips. So I think that I know the path of what I need to do to get a permit to get to my property. I've been working with the Tuolumne County Planning Department for over 3 years to have the document in front of you ready. I think we've worked out a good plan, and I'm open to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? See none? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak in favor of the project? I don't see anybody. Anybody wish to speak in opposition to the project? Anybody wish to speak neutrally? With that, we'll close the public hearing, bring the matter back to the board for discussion and action. Your country.
Yeah.
I was just going to note one, not to trump Bob on his typos, but on page 5, there is one there, just a couple of lines above the photo, says place a minimum on 4 inches of aggregate base, and I'm sure that means of.
Oh, sure.
So I do read them.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'd be glad to
Commissioner
make a
Baker.
motion. Okay. I move that we approve development permit SDP 13-002 based on conditions 1 through 72 and findings A through D.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so ordered, passes unanimously. And I think that concludes our business for the evening, unless somebody has something for the good of the cause? If not, this meeting is closed.
Good job.
Thanks for coming.
29, not bad.
See, John, you